Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. So in last week's video of the project here, or my dream shop build, I was actually standing right here and we discussed the landscaping and actually the property management that we're doing, and it was raining. Well, a hurricane was passing through at that point in time, and that rain that was starting was the fringes of the outer rings of the hurricane that was coming through. And it didn't stop raining from that point for about 4 days. We had not finished the landscaping, so it ended up doing a little bit of damage, but we have now got that fixed for the most part. And I'm gonna take this video to talk about erosion, landscaping, erosion control, and things that you can do to protect your property against flooding, landslides, and control the water, basically. So what we've got here is a sandbag system, and there's a lot of different aspects. We're doing above ground water control, which you can do below ground with tubing and boxes for water, or you can do above ground. Right now we're doing above ground. And this entire clearing here, where all of my buildings are going to be situated, that you can see all of which is behind me, is sitting on a bit of a unlevel. So all the water basically runs that way towards what's sloping down off the mountain. And so that means that the buildings, and we just poured the concrete behind me here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the level of the ground here versus the level of the concrete slab. Now, this concrete slab, I'm going to put the shipping container that I built a shipping container, or am building a shipping container, into an RV. And that's going to be sitting there, but we'll talk about that probably next week. Right now, we're going to talk about the system of controlling water. So what you see here is a swale, and a swale is basically, think of it as a canal, okay? And so we're creating the swale. So what we do is we make sure that we have the level, the slope of the swale go so that the water travels the direction that we want it to. And then it's basically like just a little channel rounded out. Anything you put on top, you're going to see through, and that's a construction principle. You're going to see on the surface any kind of imperfections you have below. It's better to fix them early on. So what we do is we're rounding out, and today is Sunday, and yesterday it rained all night, and yesterday we finished up this, but it's not, it had kind of, it needs a little bit more work. It's not perfect. I gotta finish up a little bit more the level. There's a low spot here, and then finish up tamping a little bit more, and then get that rounded curve. And then from there, we're gonna put gravel on top, all right? Now, what the idea here is creating that area where water enters and flows, and then from there, how do you prevent erosion? All right, if you're gonna allow water flowing over the surface, then you need what in the United States is called riprap, or gravel, and various sizes. So the reason that when water flows through here, it picks up the grains of sand and carries it along, and dirt, is because they're very small. They're grains of sand and dirt. So then we put gravel, right? And the gravel is too heavy for the water to pick up, and then the water can't pick up the sand that's below the gravel, so that protects from the erosion there. The sandbags are for the very edge to protect against erosion on the edge. And then on the slopes, where if we allowed for water to be just hitting these slopes and then kind of falling, it would create a tremendous amount of erosion on the slopes as well. We can use a riprap system, but then we're talking about, in the United States, it would cost $200,000 to $500,000 worth of stone, and then, labor to be putting all the stone on the side of this that it would require for the entire property. So that's obviously not something that is an extremely intelligent investment, in my opinion. We do have some stones behind me here where you can see, and that's an example of the rocks we will be using in certain areas, and that's kind of what we're discussing with riprap, what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to be doing that over the whole surface because it's just not a smart investment. So what I've done is I've actually planted grass, and then this grass is low maintenance grass because it doesn't grow very tall. So, and obviously being a tactical guy, I want to have something that is low growing. There's a lot of species of trees or bushes I could put here that would really protect the slope, but I want to be able to have a view of 100 yards completely around my facility for anybody potentially that could be a threat to the area. So that's why I'm using grass there. Coming down along here, we'll show you how the system works. Okay, so here you can see the difference in what it looks like once we put the gravel on top. And then here you can see where we haven't put the gravel completely yet. And you can see what I'm talking about with all the rain last night. Some of the sand from up top washed down and filled this area. So we're gonna have to redo a little bit here because a lot of the sand got washed down here. But then you can see if you look down here, this system where we have here the gravel functioned perfectly, exactly as we wanted it to, and it didn't wash any of the gravel away. Now, we're talked about different sizes of stones, right? So we've got the gravel above the small fine sand, and the gravel protects the water up to a certain velocity. But then we want to control the velocity of the water, because if we just allow the water to go flying down slope and heavy storms to create a small river with a lot of force, that water will generate enough force to move the gravel. So in order to keep the water moving slow, we need to use a little bit bigger rocks than what's considered gravel. And we've got those rocks here that we're working on, and I'll show you exactly how we're putting them. And then that's what these rocks are for here. These rocks are, as the gravel comes down, as the water comes down and flows through the swale, it hits the rocks, and the rocks will actually slow the flow of water so it doesn't have enough velocity to pick up gravel. You can see coming through here, we've got our sandbag system protecting the erosion, and then we've actually cut some stakes and pounded the stakes in, okay? And the stakes are what maintain the sandbags from falling. If it rains for several days, some water may filter through, obviously, the gravel, and the ground may become a bit soggy after several days. And if that happens, then the stakes will prevent the sandbags from toppling and losing the wall here. Again, we've got the grass in the areas where there's no sandbags, and the grass, once it actually starts to cover the ground there, it will protect that entire area against erosion. So we pretty much, during the hurricane, lost this entire area right here, and we've redone it. And we were in the process of redoing it, but just from the rain last night, you can see what happens here with an area that hasn't been completed. And we didn't have a chance to complete this area. We're in the process of finishing it Saturday when we stopped. So just one night of rain in an uncompleted area that didn't have the gravel, you can see how it washes away the dirt very easily. So we're gonna finish this area right here. This whole section of path here that's down to the bathrooms was destroyed by the water as well during the hurricane, but we've managed to fix all of this. This is ready to go now, just only requiring the gravel on top. The bags are staked because this little section right here was actually fell down because it got very waterlogged and actually became like quicksand. The side of the hill became like quicksand. We didn't have the bags staked, and so they ended up falling. I was slowly kind of building this and was not expecting a hurricane to come through, so that kind of threw us off. But now we're getting fixed up, and we're gonna get this done in a manner that will be functional on a semi-permanent basis, okay? And then from here, like I said, we'll have to get a little bit more hardcore with planting more plants or shrubs to protect, really put in some roots on the slopes. And then the ultimate, we could have to go with larger rock instead of the sandbags, because sandbags don't last forever. Or depending on how much I want to invest on the landscaping and terrain, I can even start putting in retaining walls and concrete gullies. And for example, this is a runoff section here where I could put a concrete gully and direct all the water to here. And that would be one option, or I could just fill this area with large riprap rocks, which is another option. And both of those would work very well. There's a system of riprap where it's interlocking, and it's very similar to concrete, but just much more cost effective, where you use jagged rocks that are very large at the bottom and then a little bit smaller that fit in the holes, and then a little bit smaller, and then gravel on top of all that. And they all kind of lock together because all of the different rocks fit in together. So that's a great way to do landscaping and erosion control with rocks. And then you want to use foliage, grass, trees, natural root systems, and at the end of the day, you want to cover that soft earth. Now, the reason that we're having to do all this is because this was a mountaintop right here. And if you haven't seen the early video, the first video of building my dream shop, we leveled this and took about 6 feet or 8 feet or 10 feet in certain areas off of the top of this mountain with a bulldozer. Now, this is what we're doing to protect the terrain. So you can see the far spot there where we just came from was an area where I'm gonna be having my shipping container, living area, an office area, kind of a temporary construction type project RV. And then once I finish the whole project, there will be a second story. The first story from here is about 20 feet up, the roof of the first story or this floor of the second. And then from there, it'll be a second story where there'll be living quarters. All right. This is just all workshop right here. I'm going to have an office inside, and then temporary office and living quarters, like I said, in the back. I'm going to have an area here that as opposed to doing a truck lift or car lift, I'm going to build a ramp that just has like 2 different ramp things that come out. And then you can drive the car up on top of that and work on the car. I'll level all this, and I'll probably leave it gravel and just put a pole barn, but have an area here where I can just about the exact same as the part up top. You got the pole barn that we're building there. We'll have the pole barn here as well, but this one will be a system to which has a gravel floor instead of a concrete floor. You can see here we're as well finishing up working on the system of swales. This swale will come all the way down the side of the building. There's one in the front of the building. And then you can see this swale here, which will connect all the way down around here, come down through here, and then exit down there. The street here in front of the property, in front of the access road, or my driveway basically, here in front of the building, has a swale on each side. And then there's also a road that goes all the way around here all the way around the outside of the property. So you have a entrance and exit that's basically full access, so you don't have to do any U-turns. So at the point that I'm making enough products, including the clothing line and the knives and everything together, I'm hoping to be able to make enough products to fill shipping containers. And then I can just have the semi-truck or semi-trucks and have a semi-truck come in. We'll load the semi-truck. I can leave part of this open for a loading area for a semi-truck. And then what we'll do from there is just maintain the ability to load and unload semi-trucks, right? At least I want the ability for them to come in and do a U-turn. We have had a lot of people coming in and unloading block, unloading concrete, loads of stuff like that. So that's been what we've done so far. And I just wanted to show all of the landscaping work that we're doing and talk about erosion, water control in this video and in this chapter. I do appreciate you guys watching. If you like the Bone Tactical videos that we've got going on, if you like this series, if you like watching my shop build and following along, definitely get involved in the comments, because between keeping up with production right now and then building this, it's just an incredible amount of work. I'm working 20-hour days, 7 days a week right now, and it's just very costly. So doing this for you guys is part of it, and I do enjoy doing it, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it and having the feedback and from you guys that you like these kind of videos, because if not, I can do other videos, and there may be other videos that are easier to do or less time consuming. So your feedback is incredibly important. The way that you give me feedback is make sure you're subscribed first of all, then give me a comment on whether you like the video, whether you don't, and what you want to see more of in the future. Thanks for watching. Bone out.